Hello, everybody. Almost on time. This is Elisha Keating from wisdomseekers.net, and we're here today with an in-depth with Elizabeth. And hopefully the topic will remain the shadow person. And honestly, right now, we have been, everybody I know has been dealing with the shadow energy. So this is a perfect topic. Right, Elizabeth?
It really is. It's a very interesting topic in whichever way you come from it. Dealing with our shadow selves. We call it the shadow self. But it's really kind of those things that we don't consciously deal with, right?
Okay.
That can create illusions in our lives if we're not careful. If you work in any kind of practice, and when I refer to the word practice, I'm talking about any kind of magic, alchemy, sort of energy working, anything like that. It's
Even
very
therapies. I think
yes, even therapy. Therapy will bring you into your shadow self a lot. They like to go there for whatever reason.
That's why they recommend that anybody who does hypnotherapy or therapy have their own therapist.
Yes. Yeah. It's a hard area to visit about yourself, but it's an important area to understand. Because if we don't understand it, we can, like I said, we create a lot of illusions because of the shadow self. And I guess maybe what I should clarify about the shadow self, we often associate it with negativity, right? That's our dark self. And we get those little quips in quotes like, the story about the two wolves, which wolf, well, sometimes it's a wolf, sometimes it's a bear, which one do you feed?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we associate my nose, sorry.
It's because it's cold where you are and gets dry. So the air gets really dry, and that's why your nose gets itchy. I know all this stuff.
We do associate it with negativity, but it's not always about negativity. It can be something about ourselves that's more primal, okay, that we haven't addressed.
It's basically something that we keep hidden from ourselves, whether it's
exactly
bad.
Yes. And so, when we talk about dealing with our we talk about self-actualization, understanding ourselves, very important. Knowing where your limits are. We can apply this in so many ways. We can apply it to self, but we can also apply it to society, because we see a lot of the shadow in society.
There's a lot of people are afraid of, because as we look at our shadow self, it gives us freedom.
Right. But it also gives us deeper understanding. And sometimes when I always say
freedom,
this,
right?
right.
You know who you are.
Truth, when we seek truth, when it says in the Bible, truth will set you free. That's true. You get a deeper sense, you get a deeper idea, you get a deeper understanding. But sometimes that understanding is very painful.
Oh, yeah.
When we start really looking at truth, it can shatter our belief systems if we're not prepared. It can shatter our faiths. It can shatter our understanding of the world. It can shatter our understanding of ourselves if we're not dealing with it carefully and in a more, controlled way. We have to expect that we have built illusions in our reality. We have built, walls that we have segregated knowledge off of.
And it's very difficult, I find sometimes, even though I know I will look for what I'm missing.
Yeah.
I'll still miss it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the way we are. I mean, it's like looking for your glasses.
Yeah, they're on your head.
And they're on your head. Yeah, you know, or
Mhm.
it's like looking for your car keys and you've looked in that spot 5 times, but you didn't see them,
Mhm.
you know, and
Yeah.
then something breaks through and then they're there. Well, it has the illusion that they were never there. But the reality is you're so frantic in that moment, you didn't see them because your whole mind is bent on the fact that they are lost.
Yeah.
Okay, and so when you reach that breaking point, and I've done this, y'all, this is a horrible story about myself, but I will literally reach the point where I'm just in tears. You know, I'm never gonna find them. I have to find your keys, and it's like, you know, and then suddenly they're there. You know, because we've broken through, you know, the fear, and we've gotten past through the concept that they're lost. Right? We've reached the finality of it, I guess. We've burnt up all that energy, and then we're able to see them. And it's usually after we've calmed down. You
Yeah.
know,
Sometimes I think they're actually removed on us
uh,
by energies.
in some cases they can be. Like I've had a mischievous spirit in my home one time, and I was looking for my car keys. This is a very interesting story. Let's go down this side road. And I reached that point, and I, you know, and honestly was fed up and threatened to evict and cleanse the whole house. And the car keys fell out of the curtain
But you
from
know
off the
darn
top of
well
it.
you did
Yeah, and I
not
know,
there.
right, I know darn well I did not put my car keys on top of the curtain. Um, so, so yeah, you can have that happen to you, which is a whole different topic and issue.
Yeah.
Um,
But what I'm saying is it's not always panic,
no,
but
no,
a lot of the time it is.
a lot of the time it is. A lot of times, and that's not your shadow self. Okay, these moments are not your shadow self. Let's clear that up. These are moments that you know, they happen in life. So a lot of times, you know, we think of the shadow self as everything negative about us, right? Self-criticism is not your shadow, right? So when we criticize ourselves, that's not our shadow. That's not even being realistic. A lot of times our criticisms do not come from truth. All right, they come from the illusion.
Most of the time they don't come from
Yeah, most of the time. So when we're dealing with shadow, you're dealing, and we're dealing with light, like the that you are, that you acknowledge, right? My presence of mind. And then what I don't know about myself, all right, or what I don't want in my life about myself. These things can be the shadow, where the present mind is the light source. Okay. And so I'm kind of blocking out, you know, these darker aspects of myself, darker aspects about life. And I say darker again, not negative. Right? They're just things that I'm not willing to accept right now.
And it
And
might be because of the way you're brought up. It might be
yes,
somebody, it very often is not your concepts originally.
right. And that's why dealing with a shadow self can be so traumatizing,
Mm-hmm.
because there are things that we believe about our faiths, right? That aren't really based in truth. They're based in passed on knowledge.
And
And
which is
so
really
once,
hard to let go of because it's
mhm,
often built into the subconscious understandings.
well, it's built into our social structures too. I mean, I was
Exactly.
raised going to church. You know, I was raised going to church, and you know, very interesting. It's Sunday. We're a family. You're going to be a family. Get your butt up and present yourself as a family.
Yeah.
You know, um, you know, it's part of the family structure, and we begin to question, and society begins to push back. Okay, because now not only are we questioning our own truth, we're questioning other people's truth, and you have to be very respectful about that. But you have to remember, truth can be painful.
You can't be James Dean.
No, don't wish we could. So yeah, you know, and there are people who push back on society. But let's look at what happens to them, because my prime example of that is Jesus Christ. They didn't take it well.
No, but it was because It affected the basic monetary system.
And, you know, that's a consequence of pushing back on society's shadow and concepts of the truth with your own.
And even what, 2000 plus years later?
Yeah.
There's still pushback. Right.
There is. And there's dilution and, you know, changing of and utilization of. A lot of times, and I say this often, we were created in God's image, but we have a tendency to create God in our image.
Very much. Okay. Very much. I mean,
yeah, and again, this is an example of a shadow that we create because we ball up the truth of what God is. You know.
And honestly, I'd like anybody to actually tell you exactly what God is.
No one can. That's the point. No one can.
Yeah. No one so can. How can we recreate him in our image?
Yeah. Even the men.
It's only a guess.
Yeah, even the men in history and in ancient times, and the women in history and in ancient times who have seen a glimpse of God. And by the way, I don't recommend it.
No, no.
You know, it's unexplainable. You know, I think was it? I might be quoting wrong, so you know, please feel free to slam me for this. But I think it was Krishna was explained as universes strung like pearls. Okay, so imagine looking at whole universes strung out like pearls as a living, intelligent being and remaining sane. You know,
that's why I don't even I don't even attempt. I get to a place and I thought, if I go any further, it's just too much. My mind cannot comprehend it. I'm not going to even try.
Yeah, it's
somebody else can do it.
That's it. I'm good for that. I'm good. You know, but we do because of that though. We tend to mute the idea and concepts of God into our own thinking, and then we get into, you know, fanatics, you know, and the whole building of this shadow structure that can happen sometimes in a very negative way, sometimes in a positive way, because, you know, society.
It depends on your viewpoint, right? It always comes down to viewpoint.
Yeah, and there's
I know things can happen to me, and I go, "Oh, that's really cool," and somebody says, "Oh, that's so bad. I'm so sorry." Oh, but it was good.
Yeah.
So before we go on, Susan Hun wants to know if you're going to be on Friday night.
Yes, this Friday night I will be on. I apologize about last Friday night.
I think it was you had a really good excuse. It's fine.
Yeah, for those of y'all who follow me, y'all know that the dogs, I had tragedy with 2 dogs. I was expecting tragedy with one, and the other one
was come out of left field.
Yeah, he just that was so. It was such a horrible moment. I didn't handle it well. Yeah, I did not handle it well at all. I got very angry, which sounds strange.
I couldn't even go on with Nicola. I said, Nicola, you're going to have to do this yourself.
Yeah, it was not expected, and you know, I guess I should explain what happened. Marshall Heck, my big dog, I lost Jazz because she was in long-term illness and sickness, and I was expecting that. And I had prepared everybody for it. You know, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to need time. And I was expecting Marshall Heck to be the dog that got me through that grief. Stupid asshole. Yeah, and and unexpectedly.
You don't have to talk about it. We can do this another time.
Yeah, I just want to get it over with, rip the Band-Aid off. Okay. But unexpectedly, he ran after a possum and he got hit by a car. And he died, I think, a day after Jazz. I brought him to the emergency room bed and he was pronounced dead. And so that was that's kind of why I got derailed, and I apologize for that, but I'm going to be back on track Friday. I still have Puppy, who really honestly is enjoying being the only dog. So, but yeah, that's kind of why I got off track, and I apologize. Well, I don't apologize for it. I think I worry that the fact that I let y'all down in some way, which I know I didn't logically,
That's
but
that shadow self. That's a good example.
that's that shadow self again, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But but I will be back Friday for the live for the Friday 15-minute live video, starting this Friday. So
Maddie says, hello, ladies. Happy Family Day and happy President's Day. I don't know about that. I didn't even know it was Family Day.
I do those calendars for y'all.
Oh, no. Did you have that on there?
Yeah, I think I did.
Okay. See, I'm not really big on days. I'm not, like somebody said, what do you do for Valentine's? Nothing.
Valentine's Day.
And Vera says, hi, Aunt Beth and Elisha. And Susan says, thank you, ladies.
You're welcome. Always, always. So back to the shadow self. Let me get back on topic, because if I don't, we'll go
everywhere.
Y'all know me. Yeah.
And I kind of encourage it, don't I?
Yeah, you do. Yeah, no, dealing with the shadow self becomes important whenever we begin our spiritual journey. Okay, and the reason is, and you see this in all the good movies, Star Wars with the, are you on the light side or are you on the dark side? And you have that whole episode where, y'all know the scene where Luke Skywalker goes in and he tells him, what's in that cave? And Yoda says, that. And so he goes in there and he fights what he thinks is Darth Vader, and it turns out to be himself, the dark side of himself. And that he's fighting.
We all have that, whether we
like
it or not.
Yes, and this is the thing. This is, I think I explained it one time, like very basic. Let's bring it down as far as we can to a basic level. All right. Somebody bakes chocolate chip cookies for you, but they're not really.
They laugh because there's a meme that goes around every once in a while. Come to the dark side. We have cookies.
Yeah, that's it. We have cookies. And they take the cookies and they send them out to cool, and they're not really for you. They're for somebody else, let's say. But you really want that cookie. Okay. You can take that cookie. You know you can. Nobody's watching. Nobody's going to know it's you. All right. All right. Now you have a choice. Now you're presented with a choice. You can go to the dark side and take the cookie. Okay, going to the dark side and taking the cookie, that is not the shadow. All right, that is an act, all right, of stealing. You have stolen. Stealing is bad. You can take the cookie and you can eat it, and nobody will ever know the difference that you took the cookie. The shadow self is you realizing, I can take that cookie, but now I wrestle with the morality. I am not going to. I'm choosing not to do it. But I acknowledge that I have the ability to, that it's in me to want to. Okay, so now we're presented with a shadow. All right. Now I know there's something there that I'm walling off, that I'm dealing with, that I'm wrestling with. My shadow has come into the light, and I now know I'm capable of stealing, even if I choose not to. Okay.
It's like fear, right?
People, right.
Or courage, not fear.
Yeah.
Everybody has fear. It's whether you choose to do with it, whether you choose to move forward or stay frozen in time.
Yes. Yes. Fear can be a shadow. I mean, what you're afraid of can be in the shadow. We oftentimes, we want to wall away what we're afraid of. Okay. We always want to be the good guy in our story. Right? We always want to be the hero. Okay, so the story that we present to ourselves is that we are a good person. By the way, this is healthy, right? This is what we should be doing.
But people who are narcissists do that too.
To an extreme.
Yeah.
The narcissist builds up. Okay, so now we're talking about illusions. The narcissist never deals with the shadow. All right, there is no shadow for them. They have walled that completely away, because how could they ever be wrong? How could they ever be anything other than the center light of perfection? There is no shadow for them. They've completely, all right, there's nothing to confront as far as they're concerned,
They're
except
right.
everything that doesn't, evolve them.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Now, when a narcissist, when a narcissist begins to get into therapy and they begin to realize this, and we're all narcissistic to some degree. I'm sorry to break all your hearts. To some degree, we all think about ourselves. But when
like you said earlier, it's healthy.
It is healthy, right? But when they get into therapy and they start facing this issue, and some of them actually do, because therapy is a wonderful thing for a narcissist, because it's all about them.
Until the therapist starts to tell them stuff they don't want to hear.
That's right. And then they begin to erode away at that wall, and eventually they can build a shadow and face their shadows. Okay. This takes a long time. So there's hope. But we all have the desire. Okay, we want to be good, right? Or if we're bad, we just really want to be really bad. But we want to be the hero,
So somebody like Moriarty, and I know he's not real.
Yeah.
It comes across that he knows he's on the wrong side.
Mm-hmm.
But he excels at being bad.
Right. There's this whole idea of evil that we could get into that just really will warp your perception of the world. When you get into the philosophical grassroots of, and writers do this. we get deep into the concept of how can something be like this, right? How can it be like this? But there's a really good story I read. I'm trying to remember where I read it. And I probably don't even have the characters right, but you have this good guy we call the hero, and we can talk about the hero journey, which is always fun for a writer to talk about, because we get deep into the hero journey. He is presented with this sort of demonic force that is standing before him and is seducing him, and he's ready to kill it. He's got the sword risen, and then the thing presents the question: if everything was created for a purpose by God, then so was I, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so me being evil is what I'm supposed to be. If I did not exist, how could you be a hero?
And that's the thing too, right? So
right.
without dark, there is no light.
Right. Or we assume there is none.
Or we can't see it. Without a shadow, we can't see the light.
Yeah. Which I love I think it was the Transformers movie that kind of did this whole scenario where I think the bad guy's name Metrodon and the good guy's name is Prime, something Prime.
I would know.
Yeah. Anyway, they're facing off, and in the show, the bad robot says, "What would you without me?" And Prime says, "Let's find out." And we can do that. We can do that with our shadow self too. It's like, bye,
Yeah. There's always something else will come up anyhow.
Exactly. Life is about effort.
We all live in an onion universe.
There's, oh yeah, because there's always that layer. You think you understand something and you know it, and you just got to peel that layer back, and there's just a new morsel or a new application of it. I deal with this when I study the Bible. I think I got it, and I'll go back and I'm like, no, I didn't.
Well, you did. You got it at the layer you were at.
Yeah, and so you go deeper and deeper.
Vero says Optimus Prime.
Optimus Prime, that's it. Yes, that's the good guy in the Transformers. Now, I love that scene because I was watching it. I'm not good at watching movies, but I was watching it with my son. But when he said that, what would you be without me? And I thought, what would he be without him? But
movie.
Yeah. And Optimus Prime was like, oh, let's find out. I'm willing. And I love that because, there's the hero's answer to the situation. He overcomes. But when the hero is the villain, right? And we have things like that.
A really good example of that is Constantine.
Yes.
Yeah. I love Constantine.
I do too.
What woman doesn't love a bad boy?
That's exactly right. What woman doesn't love a bad boy? But here he is overcoming, And I love the one with Keanu Reeves, and I also love, I forget the British actor that plays. He played in the short. I think they only had one season, and they left that season, by the way, in a really bad way, and I do not appreciate it. But you see that, he's dealing with all these dark forces, and those dark forces are eroding away at him. And his moral judgment is always in question.
And it has to be when you work that close to dark, you have to. No, that's not true.
When you work, what, baby? When you work that close to dark, there's always going to be
a rush off.
Right. There's always going to be questions about your morality. You are always, and that's again why if you start down a true spiritual path, there's nothing wrong with not going down a spiritual path, y'all. As a matter of fact, I advise it.
It's once you get on it, it's pretty hard to get off.
It is.
Because it's, but I don't think at the same time you say you don't have to. Mm-hmm. I'm not 100% sure you cannot. Well, no, that's not true. Not true. I know somebody who has chosen not to.
Yeah, you can have a mild spiritual path that's balanced with a normal life. We do that. We go to church. Church is lovely for that.
Saturdays, Sundays.
Right. We have, mild spirituality in our life.
But that's not a true spiritual path.
Right. This is something that we're doing in our life. It makes our life better. And that is 100% the best, safest place to be. Right. Just like you watch our videos and you add a little bit to your life and your life is uplifted and it's wonderful. And that's what we aim for. Right. But if you choose to go like, I guess, priestess-like or nun-like or priest-like, where you fall
where it becomes your whole life.
Right. And I talk about everyday magic, where this is in my life every day, right? You are going to have to deal with your shadow. You're going to constantly question the truth. You're going to constantly face opposition to what you think is true, right? And through opposition,
you're on the leading edge, right? Most people are not on the leading edge, and that makes it difficult for them to. So yesterday, an example, I had a reading with this woman, and she's pretty new. She knows a little bit. I said, listen, if I'm too far out, just let me know, because this is what I do every day.
Yeah.
And for me, it's just normal. But I also know I can scare people by just, oh yeah, no worries about that. That's normal. Don't worry.
Yeah, it can appear insane to some degree to be truly spiritual. I mean, you deal with a spiritual person, and that doesn't even mean like all spiritual people are right. I have met people on their spiritual path that is not right for me. And I've looked at them and said, well, you're flecking nuts. You know, there's no
But,
doubt. But you have a good life.
yeah, but that's true. I mean, there's levels of spirituality too.
There are, and there's differences in paths. You know, not everybody is going to take the same path.
No,
But
but also,
you and I are good examples of that. We're on different paths.
but we still speak the same language.
We do. We do.
But our difference, I think, is, if I can find it, I haven't.
But yeah,
It's like we understand. We don't always speak the same language. Let's be honest.
no, we don't. I didn't want to correct you, but we don't.
But ultimately, I haven't got a pyramid with me. But spirituality is like a pyramid at the bottom.
Mhm.
It's broad, right?
Right.
At the top, there's only one point.
Right.
Yeah.
I would say that spirituality is two pyramids on top of each other that you go through. You start in a very narrow mindset, and then you go through this stage where you broaden, and then you go back from the broad and you go through the narrow, and then you're all going in the same direction. It's kind of weird the way, because a lot of people, when they start studying spirituality, they're coming at it from that light self, right? They haven't even dealt with a shadow. They don't even know what a shadow is.
When you first start out, it's, oh wow, this is so cool, this is so exciting. And I look at them and say, yeah, it is.
Just wait.
I just keep my mouth shut because I know it's not. I know it's going to change.
Yeah, but it's like I tell my students, and my students will tell you this. The first thing I tell them is, understand anything you learn, you cannot unlearn. Once you know it, you know it.
Yep.
There's
And
you can't go backwards.
Nope.
And that's also part of the shadow, right? Because knowledge we don't have is in the shadow. Things we don't know are in the shadow. But once we know them, good or bad, you can't unlearn them. Now, let's talk about normal everyday life, right? Normal everyday life is good. All right.
It's
If
easy.
you want, it's not only easy, it's brilliant. It's wonderful. It's like Doctor Who said, there's more magic in the life of a normal man than all the universe combined. You know, there is absolutely, we should all strive for a peaceful, normal life, and we should celebrate it. They said this in was it The Hobbit? It was one of the Lord of the Rings. You know, there's nothing wrong with a normal life. I mean, there's nothing wrong.
There are times when I wish I wish it was simple again.
Yeah.
Quite often,
yes.
Actually.
Yes. And there's magic in a normal life that you can't achieve anywhere else. There's peace. You know, everybody runs off to go meditate to find peace. But you can find peace in your normal life, doing the dishes, taking care of your job, you know, building the foundations for your family. That's a lot of work right there. I mean, you don't even need to throw a spiritual life on top of that. There's spirituality based in that, right? Peace through a normal life, I think, is the highest form. But, you know, I miss that because I have to question everything.
But you haven't been on a normal life for decades.
Right. And everything I'm doing, and every nuance, and every bit of information, and everything I read, and, you know, is cross-checked and checked. And thought about. And when I get on those videos, I really, those especially those Friday midnight videos, I'm really trying to present to y'all the truth as I understand it. Okay, it's something that I've hashed over and tried and looked at, either as a theoretical or as a reality. And exactly when I get on these in-depth videos, all right, these are things that I've dealt with a shadow self. It's not fun. I will deal with a shadow self till the day I die, and probably past that, because there's always that boundary we're going to want to break. There's always that boundary we're going to want to break. But I have developed a sense of challenging myself, challenging my reality. Marine boot camp would probably be easier. It's just, yeah.
Well, one of the things I tell people about you when I describe you is you do so much research, you know more than God knows.
I wouldn't say more than God knows, but
I mean, it's impossible to know more than that. But
I would like to get there.
it does describe you.
Yeah.
So like you and I, we do things slightly differently. I get to the place where I just say, you know what, it's going to come for me. I'm not going to look for it.
Yeah. Just living in the moment. I love living in the moment. I really, when I think about people questing for spiritual truth, it's not a bad idea. It's just I caution you. Because there is a price. I say a price. It's not really a price. There's an evolution where you change so much. This life gets hard.
Yeah, it does. And it can be painful. And since January 1st, many people have lost a great deal.
Yeah, they have lost.
And you've lost. I've lost. People have lost lovers. People have lost friends. People, there has been a tremendous amount of death, physical.
There really has been. And there has been a lot of destructive sort of forces going on as well. I mean, we've had fires that have destroyed people's lives.
They're on so many levels. It's not happening on just our level. It's happening on the macro and the micro level.
Right, and this is
happening on the beyond us level.
Right, and people like loss is hard. Okay, I think I just got finished writing about this. Nobody likes to see a reversed raven in their deck. Nobody likes to see a tower. Nobody likes to see the Wheel of Fortune. Nobody likes to see those when we're doing a reading.
No.
Okay.
But the tower is, I think, one of the better cards. Ultimately.
Yeah, it's nobody likes to see that. Right? And I wrote about this. I know I did. There's opportunity, right, in loss, even though it's hard to understand. I mean, trust me. I've been going through it since August of last year. Total destruction.
What's that song?
We still drive by buildings that you can see inside of where the walls were knocked down by tornadoes. The loss of my friends, the loss of my family, the loss of my dogs.
And people have moved out of your community and things like
that. Yes, and it's a process. Now this is not the shadow self. Okay, but you can find your shadow self.
But it is part of the shadow self. Loss is always part of the shadow.
Well, loss can bring you to an understanding that you didn't know. It can bring you to an understanding of yourself that you did not know. It can show you a shadow in yourself. Like it can
teach you acceptance and reality.
Right. And dealing with
don't necessarily have to like.
No, no, you don't have to like it. You know, I would have never thought that I would have handled loss the way I did for Friday night. Or I think it was Thursday night.
Thursday.
Yeah, I was so bitterly angry. There was a moment in that event, and I guess I'll share that personal moment with y'all. And if I cry, I apologize because it's going to sound like I'm snotty. Because I can
Got a
still cry.
dog, you can wipe your nose there.
Yeah. But when I drove down that road to pick up Marshall, we had, when he would run away, I would drive down the side road and he would go to the convenience store and I'd pick him up.
And he did that
That was
really
always
quickly.
true. And he was always there. And he wasn't there. So I drove further down the road because I could see headlights parked on the road and I just knew. And when I got there, he was laid out in the road and these two girls were frantically knocking on doors trying to find me. And I went over to him and I was like, "Are you in there?" Because that's my first question. Are you still in there? He wasn't, but I didn't care. He was still going to the bed. And I remember they walked up to me and they were like, "We're so sorry." There was a moment there that I wanted to turn on them and kill them. How could you have done this? How fast were you driving? What were you thinking? And I really had to stop myself. Now that's a good example of a shadow, right? Because I was capable of that moment of irrational hate and anger. Okay, and it was only through my spiritual training and discipline that I was able to pull back from myself and look at it from a distant truth. There's no way in the rain and in the dark that they could have seen him. It was raining, it was dark, the road was black, he was black, the sky was black, and he just came out of the woods. That's the truth.
Yeah, and he did something that was
unnatural,
or even for
no
him.
one, I've been in that situation too. I've accidentally hit an animal coming out of the woods. There's the woods all around here. So I turned around to him and I said, I don't want y'all to be upset about this. This was an accident. This is an accident. I completely understand. And and then we picked him up and we put him in the car. They helped me. They could have done so many things. They could have left him there to be hit by another car. Most people would have just driven off. They could have done so many other things. But in that moment, it was difficult not to fall into my primal self, my primal reactions. And this is a good moment of shadow teaching, right? Because that's the only way I'm able to tell y'all this story, because I'm using it as a teaching example. Other than that, I would be sitting here going, "Oh my God, I can't believe," and I'll do that later. I'm really good at compartmentalizing. Don't think that it doesn't affect me. It affects me a lot.
It's all
But
right for you.
yeah, in that moment, I realized what I was capable of. Right, I was capable of killing another human for a really stupid reason. I didn't. Okay, and so this is an address of the shadow, seeing what is truth about us, right? But then we wrestle with that and we make a choice. We either go through with it, and if we go through with it, we have to realize we're going down the dark side, or we wrestle ourselves back into morality and we handle it in the light.
And you become, for lack of a better word, a better person.
Right.
We have some questions that are actually kind of pertinent.
Sure.
The Spirit says, how does our shadow protect us? But before you go and answer that, Champagne says, I have a question. What's the difference between shadow self and the dark night of the soul? And Champagne says, it takes a lot of inner strength and power to have self-control. It's such a challenge. And she just Champagne agreed with what you had to say.
Okay, so I'm not familiar with the term the dark night of the soul. And hello?
I'm not gone.
Okay.
Just gonna blow my nose.
I'm not familiar with the dark night of the soul. I'm gonna have to look that up. But the shadow, I think that if I would like to assume meaning for the dark night of the soul.
The dark night of the soul is actually a biblical term.
Yeah, see, that's so weird that I'm not familiar with it. Go figure. I got a lot to learn.
I know it, and you don't.
I still have stuff to learn. I'm still coming, God. I'm still coming. Yeah, but I would assume that the dark night of the soul is when we go through so much.
So Champagne said it's like a moment of crisis in your life. You know, like a part of you, life of a realization, your whole life is an illusion.
Oh, yeah. Oh, if you talk about that as being the dark night of the soul, I went through that with the whole Bible code thing. That blew my whole mind on reality right out of the water and just tripped me up so much. I went through 2 years of a crisis of faith. So, yeah, the concept that we can become so into merging with our shadow self, okay, that we lose our grip on reality. All right. So like some people would say, embrace your insanity. You know, I think is what we're embodying here. Going through these truths and facing reality of philosophy, challenging your reality over and over again. Sounds horrible, and it is. All right. You know,
and a lot of times with the dark night of the soul, you lose your job, you lose your house, you lose your friends, you lose it takes you down to the bare rocks.
Yeah, I'm there now, thank you. There's not much more, right? I'm struggling. I understand that concept. But there's also the point that, again, you're facing the morality of things, right? We talk about, I had some idiot one time pray for the life of Job, and I thought, well, you're an idiot. And he went through all that. He lost his kids, he lost his job, he lost his, don't test your faith. I always say that. Don't put things to the test. Don't challenge, right?
God, no. Never tell the universe.
Yeah.
Never.
I always tell the universe positive things. Like, I'm really good. When I was going through the hurricanes and stuff like that, I remember just standing outside and screaming, don't you remember I'm a CD student? I'm going to fail this. Stop testing me. So, yeah, no, I think the shadow is more from inside. Okay, it can be brought on by outside events, but it's inside revelations. Whereas when you're going through I guess what I'm understanding from the dark night of the soul,
when you come out on a higher plane.
Right. You are pushed so far down that you're either going to die or get up.
Exactly.
Right. And I always choose to get up.
Unfortunately, you can have more than one. It can last for a day. It can last for years.
Yes. And like I said, I'm tired of it. I'm tired of
it. It's like
I'm just tired of it.
It's like when they say give up and let God, sort of thing.
Right.
And then it really is a negation of the ego. It's not really a dark night of the soul in all truth. It's the dark night of the ego.
Right.
It just doesn't sound as good.
No, it doesn't. Life, and I say this all the time, life is brutal. All right. When you are born, life starts trying to kill you. Okay. The first thing that somebody does is slap you on the ass. I've got to put you down. It's getting uncomfortable.
But Mom, I don't want to go down.
But that's the truth. The first thing that happens when you're born is you're born upside down and somebody slaps you on the butt. All right. So life is just brutal. When we deal with these people in spirituality, and I call them bunny worshipers. Okay, because everything's good, even if it's bad, it's meant to be good,
Oh, Diana.
Nothing can hurt you, and nothing really means to hurt you. And I think there was a big New Age movement that kind of had an aspect of that, and and if it hurts you, you're supposed to ask why. No, if it hurts me, I'm probably going to kill it. That's my shadow self. The truth is, life is hard. Right? It's not going to be easy. It's not meant to be easy. Right?
Not on this earth. Not this earth. It is not meant. Other places, I understand life is simpler.
Right. But I mean, we can strive to make it easier. Well, like I said, we always have a choice to make heaven or hell on earth. Right? We always do. Even in all the destruction of my life, I'm still going out and feeding the birds. I mean, that's one of the first things I told Elijah. I'm a mess because I had to go crunch through the ice and snow to go put bird food down. And, we can still create heaven. This is a choice. And this is facing our shadow selves. Which way are we going to go? And that's why we get the Moriartys. I'm okay being the bad guy. Okay, we get the Darth Vaders. I know where I'm going, and I'm okay with it.
And then sometimes we have to be that bad person, even with we're not bad people, but sometimes we're perceived as bad people so that others can learn.
Yeah, we did that whole video. If you're going to be the villain, be the best villain you can be.
Yep.
If you're put in the position, you are always going to be somebody's bad guy.
Sometimes, like I know you and I are both, because of who we are, out and proud, so to speak, about being spiritual.
Right.
In a atypical way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we are the bad people for certain people.
For some people. But you could argue that the orcs in the Lord of the Rings were the good guys, and the elves were actually the villains. I mean, from the orcs' point of view, they were just doing what's natural to be an orc.
And also in later books, they have evolved to be interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you have to think. Sometimes you are perceiving yourself, and you should, because it's healthy. I'm not saying don't sit there and think you're the bad guy. Then we get into criticism. Criticism's bad. But sometimes, people aren't going to agree with you. They're just not. No, I'm not picking you up.
So Champagne says you two are badass spiritual people.
Yeah, thank you. I worked a long time to be a badass. I mean, this was built on years and years since I was, I think, in grade school, actually, is when my spirituality began. But there was a price. I was so different. I didn't have friends.
Yeah, no, I understand that completely. I remember I was just thinking about this yesterday. Somebody asked me about Valentine's. I said, "Oh, I quit being interested in Valentine's in grade 1."
Yeah,
I didn't get any Valentines in grade 1. Everybody else got everyone. I didn't get. I got maybe 3, and they were. I feel sorry for you, Valentines.
That's exactly right.
Valentines anymore.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I went through that myself. It was just, you're different.
Yep.
Some people everyone is different. Yeah, everyone is different. I am not talking to you. Oh, everyone is different. We are all meant to be unique. But you get You get those normal, ranges. And then out here on the edges, will be poor Billy out in left field with his back turned to first base, picking daisies. And all the other boys are like, play football, play baseball. And Billy's like, no, I want to pick daisies.
On Monday, on Friday, this woman asked me about her niece.
You're so bad.
And her niece was 16, and her niece was 16, and she'd chosen to leave this world.
Yeah.
But it's because she was treated so poorly because she was different.
Yeah.
If somebody like you and I could have reached out to her, she might have been able to understand or not. Because sometimes the loss of having peers at a teenager is so harsh. But if she could have stuck around, she would have been one amazing lady.
It is. We should never that's another thing. I try to explain to people. Everybody's like, how do you do this? I have people who tell me sometimes, you've gone through so much. How do you keep going? How do you get back up?
One foot in front of the other.
It's like, it's not in my nature to give up. It's not in my nature to quit. It's in my nature to thrive through adversity. It's in my nature to pull myself up. Some people don't have that. They don't. And then there's other people who've been through so much that I'm like, how are you still breathing?
It is amazing. Yeah. I mean, but you can reach out, and I apologize if I put you on the spot, Champagne, but Champagne, she's got 3 children. She's a single mom. One of the children is autistic. I don't know how strong. She's doing this on her own. She's a mom of 3, and they're below 9. I mean, they're below 10 years old.
Yeah.
That is just, that's, at least I had monetary support when I was bringing up my 3 kids.
That's the power of the human spirit. So the person that says, I'm going to get out of bed. Okay, sometimes it's a victory just to get out of bed. All right, sometimes it's a victory. This is like, people are badass. All right, they just don't realize it. They just don't realize how powerful they are.
And I do when I do readings. I don't know how often I'm saying, look at yourself.
Yeah.
So I had a reading with this woman on Saturday, first time. No, it wasn't first time. But some lady recently, I said, it's really easy to see in yourself the good, the bad. I said, but it's really, really, really hard to see the great, the beautiful.
Right.
And she was waiting for the ugly. She's waiting for me to say ugly. And I said, but seeing how powerful you are, how beautiful you are, that's really hard. And you could see the shock on her face. And because it is not something we are allowed to see.
Because a lot of times, again, that's put in the shadow. We don't see how great we are because we're living in the moment. And that's an example of a positive shadow. We're living in the moment, and the moment says, I got to get up, I got to wash the dishes, I got to feed the dogs, I got to crunch out into the snow, feed the birds, I got to feed the animals. We don't see how powerful that makes us to be able to do that in the circumstances that we're in. And so our greatness is in the shadow. Until somebody comes along and says, wow, damn, girl, you're badass. That's in the shadow, and that can be something that can be brought forward. I think I want to go back to Spirit Feather's question. Can you ask it?
Before you do that, let me finish. Nikki says, I didn't have friends when I was little. Because no one wanted their kids to come over to be around my brother. And at 10, she tried to kill herself. And Champagne agrees, yes, it's really hard but I see this as a challenge. I want to be successful over it. And she makes a joke. She says, it must be Leo in me. But yeah, I'd like to go back to Spirit Feather's question. I was going to pull you back anyhow.
Can you read it to me again? Because I want to make sure I understood it right. No, y'all ladies, y'all never cease to amaze me. Like I said, there's true magic in the power of life and in the power of living life. Well, if you'd get on the floor, you wouldn't be uncomfortable. There's true power in it.
How does our shadow protect us?
How does our shadow protect us?
Sometimes it lies to us.
So our shadow does not protect us. Let me put that. Our shadow isn't meant to protect us. Right? Not dealing with our shadow can protect us. Right? So
I've never seen that actually work.
There's a lot of times a person is not mentally, physically, or soulfully ready to deal with something. Okay, they're just not. And having to be forced to deal with it will shatter their world. So placing it in the shadow protects their reality.
So for instance, a child that has had problems at 4 or 5 years old will often not remember that problem until they're 50.
Right. And should not. The reality is we should never force somebody to face a shadowed event, especially not without long-term therapy, if they are not ready to do it. Okay? It's okay to be safe in your reality. Okay? That's a very good question, because unless you're ready to deal with truth on such a catastrophic and brutal level, okay, having a shadow is fine. You know, it's fine. It's okay. It's healthy.
We're always going to have that shadow.
Right. You know, once you deal with one truth, you're gonna find out there's like 5,000 others.
Yeah.
Where it becomes important. Okay, let's use Constantine as an example. Right? The constant battle of good and evil. Constant concept of where the line of morality is. Where's the gray area? Where's the white area? Where's the black area? We face that every day. Okay. Constantine is just kind of like a fictional area where we can pull a really good, hard example. Okay. He faces hell every day, and some of the things he's done is going to drive him there.
Yeah. And he knows this.
And he knows this, okay? And so he's deep in not the shadow, okay? He's deep in the truth of facing evil on the level that he's facing it. Because every time he steps further from that line to stand in the gap, we call it stand in the gap, okay?
And look and protect people like us.
And protect people. He erodes away his sense of morality, and he goes further, because every time we steal a cookie, it makes it easier to steal another cookie. Okay.
Every time you get away with it, it's
right. And this is another aspect, and that's why it's so important. If you go down like a practitioner's spiritual path. So let's talk about alchemy, witchcraft. We say witchcraft. It's not really witchcraft, but we'll get in that debate another day. The crafting, into these spiritual things. There are places you need to understand yourself, because you are going to, I would even argue certain priests in Christian faith and certain ministers in Christian faith that face evil and darkness. They walk into places angels fear to dread. You're going to face that. You have to know and understand yourself on a level that surpasses anything else you can imagine. So you have to face that shadowed self. You have to know what you're capable of. You have to know where that moral line is, where you're going to break it. Yet you have to know what your primal urges are, where your temptations are going to come from.
And sometimes you're going to fall on your face.
Yeah, you will always fall on your face. I fall on my face. Sometimes I get slammed down. There's been things I've dealt with that have showed me what a dark person I could actually be if I chose to. So, but if you go down that road, okay, if you go into the deeper learnings, okay, if you seek mysticism, there's a way to do it where you're always looking at the positive and good, and you're always moving towards the light. Okay, but oftentimes life doesn't give us that unless we go into a monastery. Okay, life's going to challenge you. Okay,
and that route is not at this moment in our history. That route is not necessarily advisable to do the.
Yeah, you can do it though, and it's very nice. I mean, I've created sort of a sacred space in my yard. Okay, and I have a right. Yes, New Avalon. So, but you can do it, but it's hard. I created New Avalon, and Hurricane Laura came and ripped it apart. Literally, I can't even explain what I'm looking at in my yard to you. You wouldn't understand it unless you saw it. And I've come a long way from recovering. Okay, I've come a long way from recovering ground, and we talk about recovering ground in faith as well. And in our spirituality, dealing with your shadowed self is part of that. You have to know what you're capable of. There are things I did these past 7 months that I did not realize I was capable of. Positive things that were in the shadow. It's a positive shadow side of myself. Okay, there were things that happened that showed me how horrible a person I could be, and realizing that I chose every day not to be that person, but that capability is there.
But
and now I realize it will always be there.
Sometimes it's necessary to bring that side out.
Sometimes
I know the other day we were joking. You said you channeled Elle.
Yeah, I did.
It was but it was necessary, right?
It was necessary. It absolutely was. There comes a time, okay, but then that's not a shadow, right? Because once there's the paradox. Here's where I get y'all. Are y'all ready? You got your pens together? Write this down. Once you know what your shadow is, it's not a shadow. Okay? It's not hidden from you anymore. Okay? It's now in the light, and you understand it.
And then you can utilize it.
And then you can utilize it or choose not to.
Or you can utilize it in the positive ways.
Right. So there's the paradox for you. Once you question that reality,
sometimes it's not bad.
Yeah. And there's a song that sang that, I think I posted not too long ago. He says that's the paradox. Once the unknown becomes known, it's not unknown. Okay. So that's the paradox of the shadow self. Once you pull it into the light, right? Once you understand it, once you know what you're capable of, once you acknowledge it and deal with it, right? No longer a shadow. It's seen. Right? It's no longer something that you're just,
So they talk about this good angel, bad angel, right?
Right.
Devil, good angel. If you take that and if you take that and pull the devil out and talk to it and know it, and the angel talk to it and know it,
right?
Then they're no longer a devil and an angel. Is basically what you're saying.
Exactly. They're just part of you, right? They're just part of you. We realize what we're capable of. We can adjust it, address it, deal with it, move on. But the bad thing about that is there's life doesn't stop. and neither do we. So there's always something else lurking in the shadow. There's always something else about ourselves we don't know.
So people are telling me how much they're enjoying this topic. Champagne says, I came from the shadow. I found the light, and now balance both is what I feel I have gone through all my life. It's deep, this topic. It's so freaking eye-opening. Thank you both for doing these conversations. That's a lot seems to be in fear to talk about. Yeah, we're not afraid of talking about stuff.
No.
Champagne says, Elizabeth is my soul sister. Girl, you speak my language right now. And,
Oh, that made me smile.
and she's got hearts. And she says, so listening to this topic, she just keyed somebody in to listen to the topic. And Jennifer says, I agree. This is such a great topic. It is. It gives us a lot of being open to your shadow self. It gives you freedom.
It does. It does. Let's turn around.
No more kisses.
No more kisses. Oh, we haven't brushed our teeth yet. She has not let me put her down for a while now. It's kind of been a challenge. So, I don't know what to do about that. Eventually we'll deal with it. I think I need to hold her as much as she needs to be held, though. So we're good. But yeah, no, truth.
So just to interrupt, you can get these rabbits. They're like 50 pounds. They're like big as our pitties. Highly recommend you get a rabbit.
Okay.
Big honking rabbit.
You want a rabbit? Do you want some funny rabbits? She chases the invader rabbit, though.
Yeah, but this rabbit is big. His head is as big as her body.
She like, it's really funny because sometimes the invader rabbit doesn't feel like being chased. The invader rabbit really kind of runs because I was in New York, or Marshall was in New York, because she's about the size of the rabbit, and like really infuriates her when he doesn't run from her. She's like really insulted when he doesn't run from her.
I imagine. Anyhow, I'll send you a picture of these rabbits. They're huge.
We might get one. Do you want a rabbit? Okay.
And I do know you can get them in Canada. I don't, probably in the States too.
Oh, I love you too. Let's get on the floor though. Can you? No, seriously, you're heavy. Get on the floor.
No, Mom.
Oh my goodness. She is something lately. She really is. She's really, I think because she's getting all the attention, she wants all the attention now.
Oh, I'm sure she loved Marshall and Jazz too.
They were
in her superior way.
So are there any questions about that? Did I kind of clear up that concept of the shadow and what it is? The shadow is just kind of the unknown aspect of ourselves.
Nikki says she's grieving too, and I think animals grieve.
Yeah, they do. They really do. I've actually had dog lay down on another dog's grave and not eat when I was a young girl. Okay, here. Come here. Come here. You so silly. You sit. I'm not. Hush. Now she's just being silly. Winston. When Winston died, Panda laid down on his grave and she wouldn't get up. And we literally had to lift her up and bring her because we couldn't let her grieve to death because she had had puppies from him. And so she still had to be a mom. And it was really hard to go through that with her. That was a long, long time ago. I think I was still in high school when I witnessed that. And really brought home to me the fact that animals are not, because like you'll hear people say, oh, it's just a dog, or it's just a cat, or it's, you want to get in a fight with me, say that. Animals are emotionally involved. They are created beings, just like us. Okay, they're created. We are created. So everything that's created is like it holds a reflection of the Creator, the mind of God, the spark, okay, of a beautiful, intelligent Creator. Okay, every artist goes down a dark phase, and that's where we get spiders from. But, they're still created. Just saying. So, and that's the way that we should look at life. Okay, we should look at life this way. When we look at life this way, our perspective changes. Okay, because we begin to see where the possibility of heaven can be on earth if we're willing to choose it. And that's, again, the dark side and the light side. And so let's break that down. Okay, the dark side is not the shadow. Okay, when we deal with our shadow, right, it's not a negative thing. It's just something unknown that is about us, that's real, that's reality, but we've walled it off. We don't acknowledge it. We don't know it exists. Okay, dark and evil and negative, more lower, what we call lower base energies, greed, anger, hate. Okay, those are real too. Okay, and that's our dark side. Okay, that's the choice we make. Do we steal the cookie and eat it, or do we leave it? And some of us will say, let's be a little dark and take that cookie. I'm not naming names, but I've been there. And, and some of us are hard lined. We're not going to do that. That's wrong, and we pull ourselves and we have these hard moralities. There's all differences. Okay, when we face our dark side, all right, our dark side, where Spirit Feather asked, can the shadow protect us? Our dark side can protect us because our dark side can allow us to do some things in a moment that normally we would not do. And that's where we deal with the instances of Constantine constantly eroding away his morality, dealing with the nature of things he has to deal with. When faced with the hurricanes, okay, there was a point where I had to do things I normally would not do, right? I normally would not handle a situation that way because I had comfort. I have the comfort of shutting my door and saying, get off my property. So, but we're faced with these issues, right? And our dark side can protect us because it can allow us sometimes to do what maybe normally under normal circumstances we would never do, right? So let's say we would never actually normally kill someone. We think killing is morally wrong. I hope everybody watching thinks killing is morally wrong, but again, there's always that one person. We know that that's something we wouldn't normally do, but when attacked and our life is threatened in such a way, the dark side of us can protect us because it can allow us to realize, if I'm going to stay alive, I can't walk that moral ground right now. This person's going to have to die. They're attacking me. They're hurting me. They're killing my family. Yes, murder's wrong.
But
Killing something is wrong.
But sometimes you just make that choice regardless.
Right. Yeah, and you do. And this is our dark nature. Okay. Should we live in that nature? No, because then, it's wrong to kill people, and people who kill people live in that dark nature because they think it's okay. They think it's right. They're part of their nature. And again, we get into what is evil meant for a purpose, et cetera, et cetera. We have people who live in hard line morality that when faced with that challenge will stick with their morality to the point of their death. To the point of their death, they will not step out of that. Okay. And we see this in people. Okay. They're, and I admire them. I do. I would love to be that type of person. Unfortunately, I have never been able to deal with myself on that level. So
I years ago looked at that dilemma. I've never been in that dilemma. I've looked at it. And I made a choice years ago that if I was faced with a situation where it was them or me, or not them or them or my family, I made that choice years ago so I wouldn't have to make it on the spur of the moment. That I would defend my family.
Yeah, and we do that logically.
Mm-hmm.
We deal with that logically. But there's oftentimes in a situation where we would say, I would never do that, and the situation presents ourselves, and we do it. We do it. Even though we said we never would, we do it. You know, this is okay, right? Even if
I recognize it's not okay, and I recognize there's consequences. I chose that I would accept those consequences.
That's another thing, accepting consequences. The reality, though, is for women, I find we are more willing to do things for our family that we would never do for ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, we will break the law. We will, you know, steal, kill, lie, you know, stay away from my family.
Yeah,
you know,
and that was it. It was my family, not more so than
we
myself.
will sacrifice ourselves, right? We will, you know, we see this in nature where the mother antelope gives herself to the cheetahs to save her child.
Yeah.
You know, this is love. This is the power of love. This is the force of love that drives us. That will override everything else. That's why when they say, you know, there's three powers: faith, hope, and love, and the greatest of these is love. Okay, this is why, because love will override all reason, all self-preservation, you know, all primal energies. Love will make you do things that you never believed that you could do, and in ways you never thought you could do. And yeah, they'll make you hold a dog for an hour and a half while you talk on a video. So, Mom, I'm working. I'm gonna throw you out. What do you think about that? Oh.
So Jennifer says you did a great job explaining the shadow side and how to integrate it with the rest of who we are. Balancing all sides of ourselves is key. And that's true, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't have to be balanced like 50-50-50. It can be 10, 25, 75. Well, if you want 100%, it couldn't be 75, but whatever.
What we strive for is, like, I watch a lot of dog training videos, right? And in one of my favorite, of course, is the Dog Whisperer. Who doesn't love the Dog Whisperer? But he talks about that calm, stable energy, right? The calm, stable person is the leader of the pack, hopefully. Because when it's a neurotic leader, we're all messed up. Okay. And we have neurotic leaders in our society. But when it's a calm, stable leader.
I can name a few in Canada and the States.
Yeah. When it's a calm, stable leader, everybody falls in line. There's no conflict, right? This is what we're striving for. Okay. We're striving for the calm energy in ourselves to be able to navigate life, right? We should all, this, like I said at the beginning of the video, we should all strive for just normal. Okay? Just being normal is a magic that is so powerful. You know, I regret that I'm just not normal. I am always going
Some
to,
of us come in not to be normal.
right. I'm always going to have that drive for knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
It's like my brother used to tell me. My brother used to get so mad at me because we'd start arguing and I would be like, "Dur, dur, dur, dur." And he goes, "Why do you even want to know that?" It's just my nature. My nature is to learn and to drive and to and seeking out that. I have faced some very dark things because not all knowledge is positive, bright, fluffy rabbits. There's some dark information in there.
Jen asked my middle daughter, we call her Princess Jen, that's a nickname. She asked a really weird question the other day, and maybe you can answer it.
Okay.
Why does a little foo-foo rabbit go along knocking off the heads of the mice when she's a vegetarian?
Because she's mean.
She really is. Little
Yeah. That's that dark, that's not the shadow, that's that dark negative side that people go through. I mean, sometimes you just want to go around knocking people out. Like when I get in that mood, we watch the movies where everybody gets killed. The guy comes in with a gun and he shoots everybody because,
I can't watch those things.
Yeah,
not me.
there are days when I can't watch them, but there's days when I'm angry at the universe, and that's the best therapy there is.
You're right. Like Kill Bill, I guess, would be one of them.
Yes, I love Kill Bill. And you know what? I watched that whole movie, Kill Bill. Never understood why I liked it, but I loved it. So there's a shadow for you. That's something I'm going to have to deal with. I don't know why I like that movie, but I love that movie. So I'm going to have to kind of deal with that aspect of myself.
Maybe because it releases something in you so you don't have to do it.
And so we talk about little foo-foo rabbit, picking up the film ice and knocking them in the head. It's just because he was the bad guy.
So Foo-Foo Rabbit is a kid's song. I'm going,
right.
Heck, there's a kid's song.
Right. Just why are you walking through knocking the field mice on the head? And I'm going to give you 4 more chances, right? Not to do this, to be a good person.
Be a good rabbit, not even a person.
Right. But this is given to us as we're growing up.
Yes.
And as we're going through life.
We're given over and over and over again. We're given chances.
Are you going to steal that cookie? If you steal that cookie one more time, you be a good person. Society, and I'll talk about that. Let me turn off my alarm. I'll be right back. Y'all.
While you're turning off the alarm, Spirit Feather says, "I wish I was normal too. Life would be so much easier." Well,
it would be.
But Spirit Feather is so far down that rabbit hole that she can't come back.
Sometimes we go down that rabbit hole and there's no coming back. There's no escape.
Yep. And you and I and Spirit. Yeah, I don't think we can come back.
In the bed. Throw her in the bed.
Okay, so Jennifer says, I would accept the consequences. My family means that much to me. I would protect myself as well. I don't think people should feel bad for standing up for themselves or protecting themselves from people with bad intentions. So many people are taught to allow bad people to get away with hurting people because they feel bad about being strong and standing up against people with evil intentions, which is true. And that comes back to Constantine. And every time I watch Constantine and he does a reprehensible act for the greater good.
Yeah.
And he basically says, yeah, that's one step closer to hell, or they'll show an image of him thinking that.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, but he's doing it for the greater good. There has to be checks and balances in the spiritual world that will mitigate that, even though he doesn't believe in it.
Right. There's people that unfortunately we are sometimes put in that position.
And he lives that's his life.
And he lives in it. Yeah.
And he's accepted it. And he's accepted that he's going to hell.
There's a strange story out of my life that kind of goes along those lines. When I was younger, before I had children, I sort of dealt with the same kind of energies. All right. And I was really on the warrior path. Where it's not something I talk about often. But I was heading down that warrior path. And then I had my son. And I realized
that changes things.
Right. It changed the whole dynamics. Okay, so now I had to shift my path because I couldn't take that chance. Could not take that chance anymore. Right. And that's a big chance. And this is what I tell people about knowledge, about information. Right. Some rabbit holes we go down and we never come back out of. Okay.
You didn't come back out of it. You went down it.
Yeah.
You had a lot of knowledge. You
Right.
took a side angle off of that, but
I
you're still
did.
down a rabbit hole.
But there came a moment of choice.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And you're going to have to make those choices. But once you know something, even though I went down that side tunnel, all that knowledge is still there.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And if necessary, you can teach it if you have to.
Right. And the temptation is still there.
Yeah.
Right. And the temptation is still
Because
there. And there's some aspects.
It's an adrenaline. Yeah. It's an adrenaline charge. I mean, it makes life exciting.
It does. But at the same time, there's choices you have to make. Okay. And certain things will erode your sense of morality.
Yeah.
Certain paths will take away every ounce of light you have in you, even though you feel you are fighting for, the right thing.
And you are.
Right. It just, you can be taken so far away. Okay.
And we see that in certain movies too, that people have gone so far away from they're still fighting for it, but they become broken.
Right.
I guess that's the best way of saying it, broken.
It is the best way. You become battle fatigued. You become worn down. Your idea of what you are capable of changes.
As bad or needing to be fought against, or even with you just see a glimmer of it, you want to eradicate it. Where it's
you talk about that like in police officers, right? I talked to a police officer and he says he never just goes into a restaurant, sits down and has a meal and enjoys it. He's constantly watching, does this person have a gun? Are they acting strange? He can't get out of that mentality because he's been a police officer so long. It's now part of his nature to be a police officer. So he can't even go have a meal with his family and completely enjoy it.
Yeah, and what was that name, that gunslinger? OK Corral guy?
Doc Holliday.
Oh, his friend. Earl.
Yeah, no, I don't know why it went out of my head.
What? What?
Oh, yeah.
He'd come into a bar and he'd look for the seat where he could put his back against the wall and see all the exits. Always. And the one time he didn't, he got shot in the back. I think it was
his brother, actually. I think it was his brother. Aces and Eights. Aces and Eights was the dead man's hand, they said.
Okay, I didn't know it was his brother.
I think it was his brother. Yeah. But we go through this, and so there's the challenge. There's the warning, right? There's the idea. It's okay not to go down those roads. It's better.
Meant to. That's for darn
right. Sure. We should strive for the normal life. We should celebrate the normal life. We should uplift the normal life. The best shows on TV or what was The Big Bang Theory, because it was a normal life with some intelligent people. Yeah.
And I like Happy Days.
Right. Friends.
Because they were just, they were Buffy the Vampire.
They're normal people having normal things that we can relate to, and these should be celebrated. They should be uplifted over everything else. This is what our soldiers fight for, right? This is the price that they're paying for us to live the normal life. This is why police officers and firefighters go through what they go through. So there's people out there that live this beautiful, normal life, and that should be celebrated. So if you come to the point, am I going to have this normal, beautiful life, or do I want to like practice dark magic? You should always choose the normal life, people. Always. If there is an option available to you, right? If the choice is given to you, choose normalcy.
But in your case,
or I say normalcy. Life is still going to be hard, okay? And having a spiritual aspect of your life can help you a great deal. Okay, it really can. But only make it a spiritual part, because you're three things: you're the mind, your body, and your soul. Your life, right, should have an aspect of spirituality, but it should also have family and fun and pets, and it should have tragedy, and it should have glorious moments of joy, and it should have moments of boredom, you know, that
you can't have that without people like you and me.
That's what we're here for. We're here to assure. So that's why I do what I do.
And like yesterday, I already said, I said to the lady, I'm so used to this. Stop me with it bothers you.
Yeah.
Because that's my job. I'm there to do it was a bit of ghost hunting actually.
Yeah, we do. I deal with the spiritual nature of the other. I work with elemental.
If you didn't know this, you couldn't help people to stay in the normal life if you didn't know this, because they would be sucked into it.
Yeah. But it's my ultimate goal that they are enhanced in their normal life. Mm-hmm. I want to be enhanced in my normal life. You know, I get on here every day, and I'm either learning something theoretically, or dealing with something, or tracking some bit of information down. But when I'm not here at this desk, which is my battleground, you know, I uplift those moments when I'm feeding the birds. That's, to me, is more important in my life, just to go out and feed the birds and watch the birds eat and enjoy the day. To me, there's more magic in that moment than when I'm dealing with somebody's haunted house, or, you know, looking up what this certain phone does, and, you know, and setting up the protections and doing the cleansings, and, you know, dealing with the spiritual matters that I deal with. To me, the more important, the more glorious moment is when I'm holding my dog because she's a whiny butt, or when I'm feeding the birds, or when I'm washing the dishes, or when I'm in my tragedies of real life. Because real life, that's, you know, if a mom gets up and feeds her kids, she's won. She won the day. She's victorious. Yeah. If mom gets up and cries because baby's sick and she's overwhelmed with everything, she has still won. She has won the day. Even in her pain and her tears, she is still winning, because she freaking got up.
She's there.
Right. She got up. And as long as you get up and you don't give up, you have won. You won. You've won the battle. Even if you go to bed crying, even if you go to bed, you know, hurt and in pain, and, you know, Mr. Hottie McBody doesn't like you, and your soul is crushed, and you're never going to be able to show your face at school. You get up the next day and you go to school, you have still won.
And it is a soul win.
Yeah. Hey, hush, heathen. Yeah, you've won the day. You've won. You're victorious. And you should pat yourself on the back for that. You should be like, good job. People ask me all the time, how, when I was going through the hurricanes, how could you do that? How did you do it? How did you do it? I did it like everybody else around me. And there's people who are still doing it. I got up and I figured that was a victory.
You take the victory if you find them, if you get your foot out of bed.
That's right. I mean, if you got out of bed and you managed to get everybody one meal, and you've done a good thing. You won.
So Nikki has a comment that I think is worth reading. Nikki Reynolds says, there's a guy that walks by almost every day, and when he goes by, there are at least 5 to 7 crows following him. Okay, so that's flipped on me. After following him as he feeds them. I love watching them. And Jennifer says, those sweet moments with the birds and other fur babies or children balance their lives out, especially after dealing with the harder life moments.
They do. The crows are interesting because crows they're an interesting animal. Okay, they remember you. Right? They remember who does good to them. But not only that, they teach other crows this person.
That's or they teach he has 7 crows rather than 1.
Right. Is exactly what. And if you've been mean to one of them, okay, you can walk 5 blocks away to a completely different flock and they will attack you because the other crows have told them that person's bad. So, what is this?
We've been on almost 2 hours.
Oh, no, we got to go. I'm sorry, people. Y'all know me. I will talk forever if y'all don't stop me. I love this video.
Yeah, this is a really good one. Oh, they're all good. I love them all. But this one was particularly interesting because, hey, we stayed on topic. I don't think we've ever stayed on topic.
No, we haven't. Sometimes we don't even get to the topic.
That's true. Last time we didn't get to the topic.
Oh, look, there's my alarm clock. Okay.
Okay, just tell me before we go, tomorrow what's happening?
Tomorrow is Tuesday.
Yes.
We have a live reading. Yeah, we have a live reading scheduled.
And it's 11:30 or 11. 11's good for me.
Get with her and find out, because I thought it was 9 in the morning.
Yeah, I know, but I found it backwards, and I'm not going to do
it backwards. So I think it's 1:30 my time. But let's
move it to 1 o'clock your time and 11 my time.
Yeah.
If Sabi's okay with that.
Yeah, make sure she's okay with that. But that's going to be a life path reading. She's been very generous in allowing us, and I appreciate her to do a live reading with her for y'all, so y'all can see what a life path reading entails and what it looks at.
And we have to say so much thank you to Sabi for that.
Yes, honestly, because those readings can get, I'm going to start throwing my machines out. The readings sometimes they can get very personal. And that's usually why I don't like doing them all open,
But Sabi, she's a tough lady.
She really is. She's a beautiful. And if y'all ever I communicate with animals, but she actually is the person I go to when I feel like my animals aren't being open with me.
Truthful.
Yeah. So, because sometimes an animal, because I'm the person in their life, they will show a better side than what's really going on. So Sadie is the person that I go to as an animal communicator to communicate with my animals. So that will tell y'all about Sadie. She's a wonderful person. She's amazing.
And Spirit Feather's doing a picture of her, and she showed it on the earlier on the live, and I go, whoa, that is so good. I want to see that up. That thing's driving you a little insane, is it?
A little bit.
Okay. So
let me jump up and kill it. I'll murder it.
Wednesday is Maddie Thursday we have nothing, but as I told Spirit Feather earlier, we may do a spur of the moment because I love driving this Elizabeth a little crazy because she likes things to be clear and
Yes.
nice.
Please organized.
And Friday, 11ish Pacific time, I do a YouTube on Wisdom Seekers, which is a live interactive. They get to be really exciting sometimes. Last on Friday, I was sitting there crying my eyes out. And oh geez, that's so professional. So yeah, they're worth, and Elle is her inimical. Anyhow, she's herself. So
I love Elle.
yeah. So
Where's it gonna go?
So sometimes we do commits a bit. We're quite entertaining. And sometimes she says things. She'll sit there and in the background answer before I can. What is her? But yeah, she's always right. But we have fun. We do answer. We have a lot of repeats. And and like all my readers, don't ask unless you want the truth, because you're going to get it.
And I am starting to do the Friday 15-minute videos again. And because of my situation, I'm going to be able to schedule those and give y'all advance notice. So, because before I would have to like wait for the dogs to calm down, and to no longer have that problem.
Well, yeah, I don't agree with that. I can hear your little one grumbling at you.
Yeah, but I can pick her up.
Mom.
Yeah, but Jazz was in such a state that sometimes her interference was unbearable.
It was harder on you than it was on me.
Yeah, I know. But she would bark and bark and bark. She had dementia. She really didn't know what she was doing. But it really interfered with the videos. But now I just have Puppy and I can just pick her up or kick her out of the room. So but yeah, no, the Friday 15-minute videos, I'm going to try to start scheduling for y'all. So y'all know.
When she says 15 minutes, closer to half an hour.
It's like, ask a good question, man. We could be there all day.
That's true.
I'm going to try to get, I had two people ask about, one asked about rainbow moonstone, which by the way is not a moonstone. It's actually a white labradorite. So that's actually what you're dealing with when you deal with rainbow moonstone is white labradorite.
I've never heard of them. This is labradorite.
Yeah.
The raw.
That's a beautiful piece.
I have a few pieces. Woo, it's strong.
So, yes, it is very strong, but it's not actually moonstone. They actually have different properties. I'm trying to get an actual moonstone because I would like to have a piece to show y'all. So hecatite, I think is what it's called.
There's an actual moonstone.
Yeah. So there's. I'm trying to get a piece to do a video on that because somebody had asked me about. Yeah, somebody had asked me about rainbow moonstone, and then I'm trying to get some carnelian in because somebody asked me about carnelian. So I have those scheduled coming up, but it'll have to wait till the pieces come in. And but next Friday or this coming Friday, I don't know what I'm talking about. Should be good.
I'm sure you'll find something.
I think I will.
So we can anyhow. Yeah, I'll talk to you later. I'm getting tired.
I wore her out.
You usually do. I had the moonstone on earlier today and I took it off because my brain was just not functioning. So I took my black moonstone off and said, yeah, not wearing that.
If y'all watch this whole video, I love y'all so much. Thank y'all so much for supporting us. Y'all don't forget the comment, like, share, talk about us, tell other people about us.
Yeah, talk big. Tell them how wonderful.
I appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all hanging in through these long, in-depth videos. I really do.
What are we talking about next week?
I don't have one scheduled for next week, but we
Okay, but
skipped.
we missed one, the
Yeah.
E squared.
Yeah, we missed one, so we could do next week. We could just do an E squared on anything y'all want. Throw a topic at us.
We had one.
So, yeah.
We did have
We
an
did?
topic.
I'll have to look it up. So, but yeah, I will do another video. I'll do an E squared with you Monday.
All right. Let me check first. Make sure
Okay.
nothing is happening, because I don't think anything is happening Monday.
So like if y'all watch this long, this is the point where you can say, okay, they're not talking about anything. Bye.
It's Family Day next. No, that's today.
That's today?
Yeah. Family Day, Prince Edward Island Day, Louis Royale Day, and Nova Scotia Day.
I need to get a Canadian calendar. Y'all have much more fun holidays.
Yeah, we have today's Louis Riel Day in Manitoba. Family Day regional holiday, whatever that means. And Island Day, Prince Edward Island Day. Okay, cool. I'm tired. I'm punchy.
Yeah, Puppy's like ready to go. She's tired too. She's like, it's
Yeah,
time.
it's 2 hours. She probably needs a wash. I mean, a bath. I mean,
Yeah.
you know what
Walk.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
does.
Jennifer says, love you ladies as well. Camille gives us the prayer hands. Sabi is awesome. Inside note says Nikki. Yes, she is. Okay. So let's I will try and get hold of her, and you can try and get hold of her.
Sure will.
Yeah. Namaste. Namasko.
Bye y'all. Love y'all.